Struggle.
Yeah, every day for the last week, and then slept on my keyboard, driving me insane.
Hey, everybody. The gang is all here. Got Matt Merrill, and he's trying to change his name. But
Jonah Elias, how you guys doing?
Yeah, how you doing, man? So we've just got some requests about talking a little bit about some we'll call energy 101. So I'm going to do my normal crypto market update, energy market update. I'm not going to do the customer testimonial this time. So anyway, we'll go into that. So crypto market update. I looked at this. I kind of like this index thing here. ETH is flat this week. Current price 1851. People are looking at this ETH proof of stake migration, which is scheduled for September 15th. Really, how that goes will definitely make some price action there. It's also going to make institutions a little bit more friendly toward ETH because it's proof of stake, which is a 99% or more reduction in energy usage. It's not making the miners who are currently making money mining ETH through proof of work. It kind of wipes them out. Because the new mining system is completely different in ETH. Don't know what it'll do to our fees for gas, but we shall see. The fear part has decreased by 10. So last week it was 31 and now it's 41. So the further it moves over to the right, people start to wonder, wait, price is going up. If you bought in to ETH at $900, which was not that long ago, right? Maybe 4 weeks ago. I don't know, Matt, you probably track that stuff, but maybe a month or so ago is 900, 1,000. Now it's 1851. So it's, gone up, you're almost doubling your money. So then people like, wait, shoot, maybe I should get back in. So as the arrow starts to move into the green, it gets good. And so we watch that because, we want to launch our token when we're way over here on the FOMO side, right? That's where you get some market momentum. Energy news. I reported before that inflation bill was in process. Now it's law, just got signed. And a couple things happened. You'll see some positive news today where a lot of the offshore drilling permits, which were on total hold, got released, like done. And they're supposedly going to fast track their environmental approval and just say done. So if you're one of the super majors who can drill offshore on one of those giant platforms, those are multi-billion-dollar operations, then you're happy. And by the way, we have several of those type of deals in the pipeline where they want to use our system to monitor an offshore. So if you think of an onshore, which is mostly what we talk about, with a one camera setup, some of these offshore things are 60 camera setups on one platform. So just to give you an order of magnitude of how big and how much stuff they produce on one of those offshore platforms. If you saw Deepwater Horizon, which should scare the bejeebas out of you, if one of those things, if a gas gets out of control, it's why they're willing to spend a lot of money to make sure that every gas is totally detected early so that the thing doesn't blow up. The carbon tax is now reality. So now our clients are all going to have to deal with it and try to assess how much is this carbon tax going to impact business. It also means every company is going to be incentivized to lower their reported emissions because it's now tied to a methane tax. Before, you turn in your report to the EPA based on subpart W, which defines the equipment that you got to monitor, turn it in, and that's it. No consequence, it was high or low. Now you turn in your emissions, you add them all up and you multiply by a methane tax. So they're all going to want to get that thing dialed in. So it's now created another catalyst for ProveZero. ThinkConnect solution allows operators to measure their methane intensity, which is the key to lowering your methane tax. And ProveZero allows operators to earn an energy certificate that proves their energy emissions. So this data can not only use for the EPA reporting, but for a lot of things. There's going to be a lot of entities, as I mentioned before, from loans to insurance to, earning premium certificates to whatever, all tied to that data. Okay. Now, for some of you, I keep using the term upstream, downstream, whatever. So let's define some terms. Upstream, that means coming up from the ground. So our clients like the natural gas producers, oil production. Okay. Now they got to get that to market because in and of itself, how's it going to get to market? So that's where the midstream guys come in. So you either transport it and it can go on a truck, it can go in a pipeline, it can get put on a ship or whatever, and then it's stored somewhere. And then it can get sent to refining or to, chemical manufacturing or whatever, because, we think of oil and gas as producing electricity or whatever, but it's used for a ton of different things, right? Plastics and this and that and everything, right? So that's why when you see, well, hey, solar and wind are going to replace oil and gas, no way, right? You can't. How are you going to get, unless you eliminate plastic? There's a lot of other things that these things produce, including one of our clients said they're the first ever. They did it was an innovation project. So if you hear the terms gold hydrogen, which I'll explain in the next episode, that's a new form of hydrogen. And it was actually done with one of our clients. So you're saying, wait, oil and gas guys are going to produce hydrogen? Yeah. So whenever you hear the term blue hydrogen or gold hydrogen, is actually produced with the natural gas guys. Okay. Green hydrogen is produced from water, literally turning water. You got H2O, it's eliminating the O and keeping the H through electrolysis. It's one of those things that been the holy grail of, if I can turn ocean water into hydrogen, that'd be amazing. But that's still, none of it's been done at scale. Anyway, so now you got these downstream guys producing stuff to back to midstream. You got to transport this stuff and trucks to gas stations, or now they should have it on this diagram. I don't have it, but also in downstream, this is also considered downstream again. That's where your electrical producers, right? So electricity producers, they have a mixture of ways that they produce electricity. So some of them may use oil, but increasingly 60% is coming from natural gas. It's the number one source for producing electricity. And, solar, wind, whatever, and coal is still a major source of that, right? And then, you have other refinery products that get used, like, okay, let's say this electrical generator, or, you've got fuel, right? No one's come up with a solar plane yet that can fly you consumers, a bunch of them. So anyway, that just gives you a little energy 101 when you hear upstream, midstream, downstream, and then how that all comes into play. Now, the most number of facilities is upstream. So there are millions of these in the US. So that's why we focus here, because the sheer number of sites producing. There's way less midstream, but we're starting to get clients like our P66, that is a midstream client. Downstream, again, there's way fewer refineries and things, but these are very large. And again, I don't have one on here on upstream, but again, an offshore platform is a very high producing site that would require multiple systems to do that. And then again, midstream, getting it to the downstream again, which is getting it to you. So you can get some electricity and turn the lights on or power your car or do whatever. When I use LDAR, a lot of times I don't explain what that is. Because LDAR is a term that people in the industry, they know, they go, yeah, LDAR, don't need to explain it. But for those who aren't in the industry, it requires some explanation. So that's what I'll do. Leak detection and repair. This is a required thing by the EPA and all the states, and pretty much everywhere in the world. And so when you do it manually, here's the process, right? You come up with a plan and you say, hey, I need to specifically look for components that I'm going to monitor. And this is defined by EPA subpart W, which says this is the equipment that you will monitor. Okay. And before, it was pretty high level equipment, like, hey, I want you to do tanks. I want you to do, combustors and whatnot. They're getting much more prescriptive. They've added maybe a dozen more pieces of equipment. Now, all this is key because, as I mentioned before, what we do is we can get down to the component level in our solution, which is key because sensors, they just see overall emissions. They can't get down to the component level, which is key for all the new regulations. Leak definition, there's this whole idea of permitted versus fugitive. In other words, some equipment will have operational behavior, like they'll call it tanks will burp, and they'll say that's permitted. But for the most part, all the regulators are trying to get rid of anything permitted and say it's all fugitive, meaning that's what a leak is. Okay. Monitoring. Okay. Currently it's prescribed. Currently EPA Quad OA says you've got to monitor your sites every 6 months. They're now moving to every quarter. Colorado, as I said, is the most heavily regulated. They were already monthly, literally monthly, saying a dude needs to go out to a site with a FLIR camera every single month. And then they moved to continuous. Okay. Is that move to continuous that was a catalyst that said, how can we do this? I can't have a guy with a FLIR camera living out on a site. We need to automate this somehow. And then repair generally can be done by the same guys as do monitoring, but in many cases they'll create a ticket, some guy, so these are quite huge safety issues. These are the two biggest ones. Why? Because it's somebody getting in a truck, driving out to a site, however remote it is, and manually monitoring and then manually repairing. This is the number one safety issue for operators today. It is literally truck accidents. Guys driving to and from. It's not stuff that happens on site. It's happened to and from the site. So if you can keep people off the road, that you can save a huge amount of cost and personnel and safety issues. Okay. And then record keeping today, everybody I've talked to is manual spreadsheets. And now with the new, what's called the Appendix K, it now adds a new wrinkle. Before, these guys would take their manual OGI camera, take that video footage and shove it on some hard drive somewhere, maybe back it up. Now the new Appendix K says, you have to now keep track of every single leak, a 10-second video of the leak and a 10-second video of the repair. And now you have to put all that metadata. So all of a sudden, these people who've keeping all these manual spreadsheets are now having to do video record keeping. And that's another catalyst for saying, I can't do this. Like, I'm literally going to take my video that I come back from the field and slice and dice it up into nice little segments. So the alternative is autonomous LDAR, okay, which is what we provide. So we literally, the camera goes around, identifies the components automatically. We do allow the assistance one time as they define it, right? We allow them to do tour stops. So, but it's a one-time setup, and then all that metadata is now created at the component level. Leak definition, that's literally built into the computer vision models. It's monitoring. Nobody goes out to a site. It's autonomous, on pan and tilt, continuous. And what we're finding, our clients are finding, is they can remotely fix stuff. If they can see it remotely, sometimes they could just reboot a component level. Like, for example, a pilot light went out, they reboot it, it resets the state, and nobody needs to get in a truck. And then record keeping, automatic. Literally, we're keeping tabs of all that video data all automatically. And if we can, our goal, eliminate 90% of the call outs, 90% of the person getting in a truck going out, and that eliminates 90% of the safety issues, which would be amazing. And so when people look at this as a whole, that's where the ROI and cost savings comes from. Now, we're about ready to launch a big marketing program called Autonomous LDAR. FLIR and our other partners are getting involved. So we're doing a Digital Roughnecks episode. That's my podcast, press release, case studies, inside sales webinar, because FLIR has a huge sales team, external webinars. We're doing a CH4. CH4 is the chemical thing for methane. So there's a methane conference in Fort Collins we're going to do together. Again, it's all designed to get more operators to adopt ProveZero. So this will increase the utility. By the way, for those who aren't familiar with marketing automation funnels, this is a funnel design. So it's all designed with landing pages and, get automatic calendar entry, which sends leads to the sales guys, and we follow up and all this stuff. So this is an example of the kind of marketing automation funnel that we're doing. Okay. We also are working with Highwood Emissions, one of the most respected environmental engineering groups in the world, on an ROI calculator. So think of all these operators who are now for the first time ever facing this carbon tax. Well, imagine all the C-level guys are saying, they're calling our customers and potential customers saying, I need to know what the impact of this is going to be on the company. I got to plan this out for the next, and they're going, how do I figure this out? There's so many factors. Well, we've come up with a super cool ROI calculator that you can plug in certain values of what the carbon tax would be. They can plug in their projected throughput, and we calculate then their savings from autonomous LDAR, what they would save. And if we could show the positive ROI using all the factors that they have to factor in, we think, again, it will speed adoption of ProveZero, because this is the kind of data that they're looking for, right? And this is one of the call to action at the end of that funnel that I showed you before. At the end, it says, hey, listen, we got this super cool calculator. If you'd like us to run numbers for your site, hey, schedule a meeting, and one of our amazingly super smart consultants will help walk you through that. And now you'll have a report. At the very least, you're going to get a report you can take to your CEO and to your CFO, but we can also help you solve this whole problem and turn what could be a horrible, painful process and expense into, you could actually make money off this stuff. What? That's just a huge turnaround in thinking there. So for those of you, again, learn more, I know that, the Elevate team and others have reached out to me and say, hey, where can someone click on? So, in the follow-up to these AMAs, right, there's a link to this ProveZero showcase, and I keep track of, the recordings that we're recording right now, right? All the AMAs in there, but in particular, there's a video here called Clean Connect Overview for, and if you were to look at the detail, it's overview for energy executives. It provides a great 10-minute overview of Clean Connect on that solution there. This is a nice overview, from an investor point of view. And then the first AMA, I did some more sort of overview of the stuff. But as long as you guys, want to learn more Energy 101, I'd be happy to provide that kind of detail, because 2 years ago, I was exactly where you are. I didn't know diddly. I just turn on the lights and somehow energy existed. Sort of like going to Chick-fil-A and, okay, you get a chicken, but you kind of know instinctively that there was a whole big process to get you that chicken. And so now you realize, dang, there's a huge process involved with getting the energy for whatever it is you use it for, which is used by energy. And by the way, energy is the #1 issue on inflation. Okay. If energy costs go up, everything goes up. Okay. And so if we allow our operators to be more efficient, to be more profitable, to comply with all these new regulations, which have come in through this new bill, all of us will benefit, to be honest with you, because our energy will be more cost effective, like we're used to. And that in fact impacts everything in the economy, absolutely everything. So with that, I will take any kind of questions that you might have.
I do want to give a little reminder that those links for those amazing videos that Mark is talking about are available on the LinkedIn in the group, as well as in the Discord under the links section. So go there, you can learn quite a lot. And if you miss this AMA or any of the other AMAs, that's where they'll be.
Yep. Anybody got any questions? You can always do a little, write something. I think we determined maybe I need to enable the chat, but the Q&A seems to work. Or let's see, in the chat, I can put something here, that link I just mentioned, vimeo.com, showcase ProveZero. So are you guys coming to the blockchain oil and gas conference? Yeah, I've considered doing that. They hit me up about that. That is possible. I have talked to those. In fact, if you go to digitalroughnecks.com, you will see probably one of my earlier interviews. I actually interviewed the chairman and president of the Blockchain for Energy conference. So, or not the conference, but the association. And so, anyway, I think you're referring to the Blockchain for Energy Oil and Gas conference that's in Houston, Jamie. Possible we'll go to that as well. I actually spoke at a carbon tracking and reporting show in it's probably about 6 months ago, and the guy who's actually was the speaker for Blockchain for Energy actually chased me down back to my booth, okay, and talked to me, and he, because we were showing him ProveZero and this NFT, and he's like, whoa, wait a second, NFT, why that? And I explained, hey, you can keep track of this on the blockchain. And I think he was kind of blown away by that, because it was super practical example of, using the blockchain. So at any rate, yeah, I follow those guys for sure, the Blockchain for Energy people. The good news about what they've done, just to kind of put a bow on it, is Blockchain for Energy has been out there with some of the top producers, right? And they're educating operators on the value of blockchain as a whole, which is cool, because now when we talk about ProveZero being on the blockchain, there's been zero pushback. They're like, yeah, blockchain, great, makes sense to us. It's been on our roadmap. Oh, okay. Versus what I thought we might have to do is be selling the idea of blockchain. We haven't had to sell that at all. They're like, yeah, it's coming. Now they do want to understand more about why an NFT, because up till now, NFT has been associated with, art and stuff like that. So, educating them about why we can store this data in it, they're like, oh, okay, I didn't even know it could do that. Okay, great. Good use of an NFT, versus cyberpunks or something. And then the fact that it's, the fact that we're creating a marketplace is also a good thing. Okay. Any other questions?
I do want to say, Mark, that was really well done presentation. I liked how you put that all together, especially with the breakdown of the flow of sort of the start of the energy, where we're getting it and where it ends up, the two midstreams. That was making a lot of sense.
So this is, thank you for that. The key to this really is people have wanted track provenance, which is a fancy way of saying, where did this energy come from? Okay. And so by us having clients that are on the upstream, meaning it's literally the beginning of those molecules coming out of the ground, this is where this is where you got to start, right? You got to start there and then put some sort of certificate around it. That is something industries want to do forever. They don't do that now. Like, you trade energy in contracts of 2,500, MMBTUs, and it's just traded like fungible. Okay. We don't know where it comes from. You just trade it. And now what's happening in the industry is saying, wait, I got to know where this comes from and what methane intensity was produced at. And so there's lots of people out there who are, in fact, there's even a conference today where they're talking about, being able to prove your emissions all the way to downstream. Well, downstream guys, there's no way they could do it, right? They have to prove their own emissions for producing electricity, but all that energy they buy from the upstream guys through the midstream guys, how are they going to know? Where did it come from? What emissions was it done? So they're relying on companies like us to figure that out and create that certificate. I could see, and I'm total future pacing, that something like this ProveZero NFT will be how energy is actually traded. So you think about what a token is. What is a token? A token is, and we should probably, Matt, we should do a crypto 101 next time. How about that? Because people don't even know what a token is. Like, it's
Definitely.
essentially, it's like wrapped Ethereum. Okay. It's saying, and therefore, what is a stable coin? Well, it's a token wrapped around, in this particular case, US dollars and US treasuries, right? And there's been that whole controversy about the Terra, which kind of kicked off this current downfall along with the overall market, saying, what was it backed by? We don't know. So Circle has done a good job of marketing, and I think in actuality auditing themselves or whatever and saying, no. Every one of these USDC tokens is backed up by dollars. Okay. Well, imagine the future of saying, all right, I got energy. So I got this NFT. It represents this energy coming out of the ground at this method intensity, but backing it up is the actual energy itself, how it's traded, 2,500 MMBTUs. To represent actual energy, yeah, the amount of volume you'd be trading would be, well, you should look up how much energy is traded every day. Okay. It's huge. It literally drives everything. And the key for, when you hear about climate stuff, we're smack in the middle, right? You got some people who say oil and gas is inherently bad. And you got other people saying, hey, there is no climate thing at all. But you're going to find the amount of people who dying of climate deaths has dropped by 98%. And it is dropped in proportion to the availability of energy. Why? Because, in the winter when it's really cold, people used to freeze to death and die. And now they just have a heater that just comes on automatically and they're comfortable. Or if it's like Matt and I who live in Arizona, when it's 115, what used to be there before air conditioning was nothing, a big desert of nothingness. Now there's people's homes and everything, and we don't worry about it. We just think, oh, we go from our air conditioned house to our air conditioned car, and it just works, right? And it's so good that the electricity comes on, and then my next door neighbor who buys all the energy for SRP knows where to get it, reliably and good. As long as we let the market drive that. So we just want to do the smart thing and help these clients produce energy. You all benefit from it every single day. And if you artificially muck with it, bad things can happen. So anywho, all right. So next time we'll have a crypto 101. Matt, you and I can work on that. And I think we're good to go. If there's no more questions, we'll end this session.
It's almost a good thing when there's no questions. That means everybody understood it.